What is going down? It's DJ Ash Noble here. Welcome to another stream. Today we have more updates on In the Beer Garden. So I'm going to do another stream and give you some more updates about In the Beer Garden, where we're at with the whole thing now. And of course, before we do get into it, I'll just give the brief rundown of what it is for people that don't know what it is. And this is what really surprises me, because like the support on it has been unreal. Like, it's been a lot more than I thought it would be. However, there is a lot of people that just don't even know that it's me that's doing it. There's been loads of people that have just sat there and thought I'm playing at an event called In the Beer Garden, which I am. You know, I very much am. But they had no clue that I was the one that was actually like organising it and putting it together. And I still think there's a lot of people out there now that don't realise that that is what I'm doing. And I think people just think, oh, he's playing it, so he's sharing it a lot. But no, this is actually like my home-born creation. So for people that are not aware of what this is, what is In the Beer Garden, obviously, you know, it's to do with a pub because it says Beer Garden, but it's not exactly what you think. Now, I know the name can be a tiny little bit deceiving, because it does kind of like, it does give that sort of, like, if you don't know what it is and then you hear like In the Beer Garden, it kind of does a little bit sound like a piss up in a beer garden, but that is not what it is. So essentially, In the Beer Garden is a small outdoor music festival that is going to take place in the beer garden of a pub this August, with live music, so live acoustic singers in a outdoor beer garden. Typical, you know, pub singers, just in a outdoor event environment in the, hopefully, the British summer, with a good audience of people just having a drink in the sun. And then it's going to turn into a bit more of a party at night, with the likes of DJs coming on and playing some DJ sets and doing some really, really cool bits and bobs. And hopefully that is what, you know, that is the vibe that we create. And up to now, the support has been absolutely fantastic from people that have been supporting and sharing the posts and everything we've been doing on social media. So first off, how did it come about? What was the sort of brief rundown of how it started? So to cut the long story short, without mega massively going into it, I do a residency in a pub which is across the road from the pub where I'm putting this like small festival on. And I got the idea that with the summer coming, it would be really cool to like do some DJing outside. So I pitched it to one of the other DJs at this pub at the time and said, look, we should do some music outside. And he mentioned to me about, why don't we do something across the road, as it's a bigger beer garden. It's the same owner that owns the two pubs. And, we'd have a bit of a better vibe out there. So he instantly got me thinking, like, this would be a sick idea. And then with the space just being the space that it was, it just felt like too good of an opportunity not to take this further than like, okay, let's just DJ out there. Like, I thought, what can we bring outside that would be a little bit more unique? It would be a bit different, and it would be a really, really cool thing to do. So I decided and sat on these like thoughts and ideas for ages, and then I cooked up this really, really cool sort of idea of like, what if I essentially put on a small event where we book local artists, local singers in the area, so people that live in Driffield, people that live in the surrounding areas, so it can be like Beverley, it can be Hull, it can be places like Cranswick, it could be like Nafferton, it could be even like Bridlington, just all people that are kind of somewhat in the East Yorkshire area. and we kind of do this thing of like we're boosting the future of music in Driffield. So we give like artists and singers who are maybe at the beginning of their journey a chance, and we give them maybe like their first performance opportunity, and we give them like that first chance of like, hey, look, step on stage and get a gig for the first time and get out of just playing your guitar in your bedroom. And then we also put some like seasoned people that have been on the circuit for a few years who, you know, will just necessarily like help spread the future of music in this town. The town of Driffield, it's a small town, so they don't get a lot of different things going on, and an upcoming artist and people trying to get opportunities and break into the music scene. Usually if you live in that sort of town, you know, you travel to the bigger cities. So that's kind of where it all kind of like came from. It kind of spiraled as this like crazy idea, and then I just had to basically get the approval of the landlady. Essentially, you know, was this an idea that she would be down for? Is it something where she just thought like, you know, is it going to be too much hassle? You know, or is she actually going to put faith and trust in me that I would be able to make this work? And basically she loved the idea, and then In the Beer Garden was born. Had a little toy around with like some different names, and I just thought like, I don't want to be called Drift Fest or Driffield Fest, because for starters I didn't want to advertise it as something bigger than it is. So I didn't want people thinking it's a full-blown festival and then it's just one little marquee in a beer garden, because that is essentially what it is. And then I thought, well, where is it? Well, it's in a beer garden. So why don't I just call it In the Beer Garden? It kind of just said what it was doing on the tin. You know, it does what it says on the tin. It's in the beer garden. We're in the beer garden. The only thing I maybe wish I'd done now, like if I was, you know, if we were like weeks prior and we're at that stage again of like naming this, like I'd maybe just put like In the Beer Garden music event or something like that, just to kind of like, you know, just so like you are kind of aware that it's a music event and it isn't just like having a piss up in a beer garden. Because a few people have mentioned that you know, like the name, like it's a cool name, but it does have that thing of like, well, it is, you know, it does kind of, it's got beer in the title, it's a beer garden, it has kind of got like an alcohol sort of you know, it has got that kind of alcohol promoting kind of vibe to it at the same time. So that's the only sort of thing I'd really like, you know, if I was going to keep the name In the Beer Garden, like to put that at the end of it. So like people kind of more knew that it's a music event. But like an alternatively different name maybe would have worked as well. But I kind of feel now like we've gone too far with the branding and everything's, you know, and people are now beginning to know what it is, that I just wouldn't want to change the name of it. However, maybe after the first event, I may have a look and a reassess of like, do we need a name change? You know, do we kind of, you know, do we roll essentially with going with something new, like if this is to do well and it continues. But for now, it is called In the Beer Garden. I do like the name. I like it, just basically says what it's doing on the tin. It's in a beer garden. So we'll see. So that's kind of how it all came together. And then I've just been like building the social media presence, which has been Facebook and Instagram. So the stages for that have been like very early teasers, something's coming to Driffield, blah, blah, blah. Then I revealed the date, and then, you know, and revealed the venue. Well, I revealed the venue first and then revealed the date. And then we started teasing once I'd obviously, you know, got the lineup together. I obviously then started doing like individual posts and announcing sort of each individual artist who's going to be, you know, performing on the day. And I tried to do the announcements as varied as possible. So I'd do like a couple of singers, and then I'd do like a couple of DJs, and then I'd do a couple, and I'd kind of just switch it up a little bit, so it wasn't just like, it wasn't just like us just announcing the same thing all the time. I thought having two singers, then two artists would kind of be like a cool thing. And it would break up, just change things a bit from the singers to, oh, look, there's a couple of DJs as well. And then, oh, look, there's some more, and I think it worked really well. So I've been doing that over the past, I think, 3 weeks. I've done 2 announcements a week. So, I think it's been around 3 weeks. So, like, we started off with Leo and Chaz. We announced them first. They were essentially they're a duo, and they kind of do like rock and alternative, like rock and roll covers, and they go all the way from like the 70s kind of all the way up to kind of like present day, really, and they sing a bit of everything. They're a really cool little duo, and they are really good. They are like really, really good. So I'm looking forward to having them on board, because they're going to bring something a bit different to the beer garden. And then I announced Charlotte Harrison, who is a local singer to Driffield, who is somebody who sings like indie and pop covers, and somebody who also writes her own stuff as well. And basically, she is just amazing at what she does. But she's never done a gig before, so we were giving her that first ever stage opportunity, which was really, really cool to do that. And she's been like proper buzzed to play it. So that was obviously like a really, really cool thing. And then from there on, I then announced myself as a DJ, because I just thought I'll get myself out of the way. Why not? That would sounded like a really, really cool thing to do. And I just thought, it gets me sort of done, and, I can just sort of like kick off the DJ side of things. So we did that. And then I announced Jack K, probably one of the artists that's like coming from the furthest distance away to play the event, which it kind of defeats the object a little bit, because like the aim of the event was kind of like to supply like local people in the area. However, I just thought for the DJ side of things, like I know quite a lot of DJs, and they're not always necessarily in the area, but the DJ side of things, it was more the live music that I wanted to kind of keep a little bit more local. So like we could get the upcoming singers and the upcoming acoustic acts from in the area, and the more seasoned ones in the area, not necessarily getting somebody from Southampton to come down with the guitar and, sing Elvis Presley classics. That, the DJs, however, they were a little bit more varied, because they're just kind of creating a sort of almost, in a way, like an after party to what the singers were doing, but to kind of just take the evening section away and get it absolutely booming. So I was kind of a bit more open to that, which I'm, quite pleased about that. So Jack is a good friend of mine. We've been friends for a couple of years now. We've done a couple of tracks together, and I just thought he'd be a really cool person because of the vibe he plays, like very sing-along cheesy music as well, that it would just fit the crowd really well. Whereas a lot of people I do know, they want to play the heaviest set known to man, and they want to, they want to just basically like, let's give them a big hard style filthy drop, or a hard techno drop. And, as much as that is really cool, this isn't that type of event for it. So he just kind of fitted that criteria. He was happy to be involved, and I just thought, let's do it. So after that, I had a chat with my good friend, the Layman, big ups Chris, who is currently just had a big operation, and he's undergoing recovery from that. He's hoping to be recovered in time, and he did say that he would like to be on the event, because he thinks he would be well enough for then, and he's quite excited and looking forward to what it would what the event is, and the vibe of it. And obviously, like, he didn't need to ask. Of course I would put him on. So I did. Once he said that he thought he would be well enough by then, so we announced him as like the fifth artist, I think. So we had the two singers, the two DJs, and then after that, I announced another singer called Lucy Owens, who sings to like laptop backing music, but does some really, really cool stuff. And I really cannot wait to see her perform and see what she's going to bring to the table of the event as well. And then we announced a guy, Mike Coolin. We announced the guy, Mike Coolin, who again is another singer, another guy who is doing some absolutely fantastic, amazing stuff that I'm really, really buzzed about. Proper looking forward to that as well. That is obviously something again that is really cool. I'm proper buzzed that we announced that too. And then we announced the final DJ, DJ Readers, who is going to be closing down the main event. He's going to be closing down the main sort of like daytime event. And he's going to finish it off. And he's going to, again, hopefully bring pretty cool vibe. And he actually does not live in the area. He actually lives in Gull, but he has a girlfriend that actually lives just outside of the town where the event is, and she's done like bingo calling and stuff at one of the other venues, and I also know this guy as well, so I thought he would be really cool. And originally I had him on the after party, and it's somebody else that was going to DJ the main event decided that they no longer wanted to do it and asked me to move to the after party, and now they're not doing the event, full stop, but that's another story. So we've got Leo and Chaz, we've got Charlotte Harrison, we've got Lucy Owens, we've got Mike Coolin, and then of course there's one guy I have not mentioned yet, and I wanted to save him till last out of the whole announcements because he's the main guy. He's the headliner. Now, this guy I felt honestly like I'd won the lottery when this guy got in touch. So when I was first like putting the lineup together, I put a couple of posts on Facebook. I put one in a Driffield group called This Is Driffield, to see if there was anybody in there that was like an upcoming artist or a singer or somebody that might know somebody. There's always somebody that knows somebody's daughter who does a bit of singing or something. So I thought, good shout, if anybody's like looking for an opportunity, let's have a go, And then I also put one in another group that I do post quite a lot in for my youth work, which is a home musicians group. And when I put the post in the home musicians group, my social media went absolutely crazy with people messaging me all afternoon one Tuesday. Anyway, one guy got in touch under the name Charlie Hogg, and he texted me, and before I'd even seen any videos of what this guy had done, I was like, when I read about what he did, I was like, this is what we need. This is amazing. So Charlie Hogg does a Clubland Classics acoustic set. So he actually calls it Clubland Unplugged Live, and he basically sings all the dance anthems and like the Clubland anthems. So you think of like your 90s stuff like Mr. Vane and Too Unlimited, No Limit and Pump Up the Jam. He sings it all. And then you think of like Take Me to the Clouds Above and stuff like that. He sings them all acoustically while playing acoustic guitar, and then he'll go a little bit more ravey, and he'll do stuff like Insomnia, and he'll do like Zombie Nation and stuff like that, and he'll go a little bit more trancey. But he plays it all on acoustic guitar and sings. Now, the landlady of the two venues loves Clubland. She likes the Clubland, and she likes the 80s as well. She likes 80s and she likes Clubland. So when this guy said, like, listen, I do, I sing Clubland classics, I was like, this is like, I have to see this, like, I have to witness this, because this is crazy. I was having all kinds of thoughts in my head of like picturing what this guy would do, like, and what he'd sing, and like wondering what it'd sound like and how it would even work. And then he performed at Springfest a couple of weeks ago, where I performed, and then I was like, I have to come and check this guy out. I have to come and watch him live. So I came to watch him live. He did not disappoint. Literally, I would never been so blown away like that in a very, very long time. It was amazing. It was just exactly everything I expected and more. Like, like when like you kind of think in your mind like of how you want something to be, and you're thinking like, if it is as good as this, then we've struck gold. And then like it was as good as what I thought, but like even better. I was like, yeah, we have definitely struck gold. This guy is amazing. He had the crowd in the palm of his hands, and it was almost, in a way, it kind of felt like you were raving to a DJ set, but it wasn't. It was an acoustic set, and sometimes there wouldn't be a gap in between the song, and he'd like literally almost like do a mix on his guitar where he'd be playing one song and then he'd just go straight into playing the next song. It was amazing. So I got to witness him live, and then that just made it so much more exciting. So he's our main guy. He's going to be on for an hour, and he's going to be singing Clubland classics all acoustically. He's going to be doing loads of absolutely amazing vibes that I just cannot wait to see on the day. I just cannot wait for him to come and do it outside and just have an absolute vibe. Now, when I saw him a couple of weeks ago, he played at night, and it was inside, it was indoors, and it had got dark. It was, he played at 10 o'clock, and he handed out like glow sticks and stuff. So obviously he's gonna be playing at like 5 till 6 on the afternoon. So he isn't really going to be in that situation of where he can hand out the glow sticks, because they're not really going to do anything in the daylight. However, he's still going to pull out an absolutely amazing show, I would imagine, and I really can't wait for it. So with that being said, like, I think we're just in for an absolute winner. So we did that, announced him, and now everybody has been announced through social media. And then today we released a full flyer. We dropped everything that we could, all the information regarding the event, and it's really, really amazing. It's it's really exciting to get to this level. I'm a little bit emotional as well, because like it was a little idea that I got like a couple of months ago, and it's just mad like how it's kind of like come to life, and how I brought the idea to life, and just how well it's kind of gone so far with like the promotion and the teasing and just how everything. And I feel like the lineup for the first event is better than I first thought it would be when I first kind of like had the idea. And I feel like we've acquired something that is actually really pretty fucking cool. And I can't lie, I feel like I've gone to a level that I didn't think I would go to, that has like made it really good for the first event. However, we're not there yet. There's still a long way to go. We're still just over 2 months off the event taking place itself, where we're actually about 10 weeks, I think, 10, 11 weeks, I believe, because we're in the first week of June. So where the event is on the last week of August. So when we get to like the 30th of July, we'll be 4 weeks away. When we get to the 30th of June, we will literally be like 8 weeks away. So we're like, I think we're about like maybe like 11 weeks away, or something like that, 11, 12 weeks away. So 12 weeks, it's not really, when you think about it, all that long. And when we think about like what is left to come out promotion wise as well, there is a lot to come out. So like, just because like we have announced the full flyer, that does not necessarily mean that we're like finished and it's over. Um, you're just gonna have to bear with me. I'm gonna have to pop to the toilet. Okay, apologies for that. Sometimes when you've got to go, you've got to go. So, as I was saying, so we're about 12 weeks away from when the event is going to take place. There's still lots of promotion that I need to do. Obviously, I haven't done a lot of physical promotion yet. I've done a little bit. So I did post, I did take pre date announcement flyers to both the venues, the one I DJ in, the one that I am going to do the event at. They've got some of the posters as well. And I have done that kind of thing. But obviously, like, I need to now start doing the physical. Look, this is the flyer. I'm going to put these, got to get them to, like, some of the takeaways and stuff. And really do like the physical promotion side of things. And basically that is what I need to do in terms of like physical promotion. I have got some like ideas of some other things I want to do as well, which is going to be really cool. And then of course, like, there's a lot more social media stuff to post as well. So we've got the main party, but like, let's not forget the fact that we have an after party as well. So there is an after party, and I'm running a DJ competition for that. So essentially, I come up with this idea. So one of the DJs who originally was going to DJ outside decided that he no longer wanted to DJ outside, and said that he'd just do the after party instead so he could enjoy the day. Has now decided that he doesn't want to DJ anymore. So I wasn't messing around, unfortunately. Like, I wanted to get the ball rolling, get things moving, and obviously I want the event to do as well as it can be, and I need reliable people that are going to commit to what they're doing. So I decided that, like, where there was a slot for him, that I would put a DJ competition that I've not announced it yet. I'm announcing that next week. And basically, it's for like an upcoming DJ who needs to get more gigs out DJing. and it's a chance for like somebody to maybe get like a first performance opportunity of like playing a gig. So I'm running a competition where you will record a 45-minute set, and the genres that are included in the competition is house music, clubland, bounce, and a little bit of hard dance. So I ain't going full on rave with it, and I have encouraged in when like I've got everything ready to announce the comp. So I have literally like I wanted to encourage people that the more sing along and cheesy, the better you are like gonna have more chance of winning. Like if you just come with like your fattest and heaviest hard dance mix known to man, whether the mixing's perfect, whether you're playing like what I think is really, really banging tunes, it's not necessarily going to make, as a matter of fact, it's probably not going to make you win. What I'm kind of looking for with the vibe of this like after party set is somebody that can read a crowd. So, I want people to enter this competition with the mindset of like, this is when I'm stood in that, let's just say, for example, let's just say I'm playing the gig and I am stood there and I've got a crowd of people that are not necessarily ravers, but they're people that like they'll know some rave songs for the ones that have gone like commercially big. So they would know stuff like Pretty Green Eyes and Entrance, Set You Free, and they might know like Darren Styles, Save Me, and stuff like that. But apart from that, they aren't gonna know like DJ Panda, It's a Dream, or JYD Nature, or whoever's newest hard techno song. They're not gonna know it. So you had to kind of like you have to kind of enter the competition with the mindset of like you're playing to a crowd. They're gonna know sing along. So if you drop like a remix of Adele, Someone Like You, they're gonna more than likely know what it is. If you drop like a remix of Adele, Set Fire to the Rain, they'll probably know, or Rolling in the Deep, or you play like an LMFAO song like Party Rockers, or you play like a Rihanna song or something like that, or like or you play a remix of an Oasis track or like a 90s dance tune. They're probably going to know what it is. So the more sing along, the more cheesy, the more better it will be. And again, the same with like the house tunes. Like if you are just literally playing like stuff that people are going to recognize and stuff that people can sing along to, you throw out an Alice DJ, Better Off Alone, you're probably going to get people sing. So it was that kind of thing, that I want within the competition. But the idea is that the winner will play the main after party headline slot, which is like the 12 to 1. So they'll play 12 to 1 at the after party. They'll play like the main time. And then they'll get booked for the following year to actually play the main thing outside. So they'll actually play outside. Whereas, this year, they obviously, they win the competition. They get that first set at the after party. But then the following year, they will obviously play the main outside stage. Which is, the actual in the beer garden, and they would play outside on the DJ section of the event, for the second year running, if we obviously do a second, edition of the event. So that is something that we're going to promote as well. Then, of course, like just the general after party information as well. So, like who's playing the after party, where it is, what time it is. It's just at the pub across the road, where I currently do my residency. It's owned by the same people. We're just going across the road. That pub has a license to stay open till 2. I think the one where we're having the event outside, I think that closes about 11. So the other one stays open while 2. So if we can get a good few people in who have like stayed out from the main party to all kind of go across the road and then continue the party, then it will be absolutely amazing. And yeah, I will be over the moon if if we pull it off, and we get people into the after party as well. And then upon that, there's some other like little bits of information that I do need to print out as well. And stuff like that, and some other bits and bobs I want to do. So we're not having an outdoor bar. That is something that we're not having. But it is like literally just so easy to go inside to the bar. We're not at like some absolutely massive big acre of land. We're in a beer garden. It is literally about a minute walk just to walk like down a little path and just go inside the pub. You can very easily get inside the pub and head to the bar. There is a side door to the bar that just takes you right out to the beer garden. You can just literally go in there as easy as anything and order your drinks. But I am going to I am going to put some signs up just to basically say, like, look, this is where you go to the bar and the toilets, just so people know kind of where they're going. And then, of course, I have got a map as well. I've done like an open like bird's eye view map of the like space itself and where everything's going to be. So that is obviously like the next thing. And then literally from there on, I'm going to be posting that so people know where things are going to be. And then, of course, the running order. So the running order of the day, I don't think I'm going to announce the running order online. I might maybe do it on the day of the event. However, I am more like I want people to turn up and like not necessarily know when people are going to be on as such, and then they can kind of obviously like be well, look, thing is not on till so and so, so we're going to stay, rather than someone coming to support the first singer and then leaving and not supporting the rest. So I'm undecided yet, but I am going to print running orders off and put them in the bit. I am going to stick them to the tables in the beer garden, and and then obviously people that are in the beer garden can get to know obviously what's going on outside, with the full day. And then I am also going to print out some after party flyers to put around the outside as well, just to remind people that, hey, look, there is an after party as well. And we are going to continue. So there'll be a running order and there'll be an after party on every table, sellotape down to the table, so you can just like see who's on next, or who, if you just arrive and you look at the time, who's currently singing now, you can have a look at that. Or if you turn up in the evening, who's currently DJing now, and that will kind of be that kind of thing. And then obviously like I'm gonna obviously like do some more promotion. Like I'm hopefully gonna get an advert in the local newspaper. I was hoping to maybe hit up the local radio station, but I think if I can get it in the newspaper, I will be happy. The radio station, I'm very much like, yeah, the thing is like, rather than, the thing with the radio station is I don't necessarily want an advert on the radio that comes in the generic advert break. I just want to go on to the radio show and promote the event, and just say, look, this is happening, this is how it started, blah blah blah, and just like a couple of like presenters that maybe like read anything in terms of like what's on in Driffield, or what events are coming up, blah blah blah, to basically in that sense to basically play, to basically say this is coming up. That is literally all I'd really want with the radio. And then with the newspaper, Again, just a little picture of the flyer, maybe a little photo of the tiger in or something, and then again, just a little write up, a small write up about what it is, with a little story about it. Um, and then just to basically take it from there, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's my sort of like promotion plan, in terms of like what I've got to do. Now, what do I actually need to buy for this event? Like, what do I still need to buy, for the event? So the sound system, that is all completely taken care of. The sound system is sorted. The sound system is absolutely sorted. It is literally the it's all there. Everything is all there. So originally, the DJ that is now no longer playing, he bought a sound system, and we was going to use it for the event. And then when he gave up the DJing, he actually decided to sell this sound system. I have bought it off him, and I now own the sound system. So we're using that for the event. I've not tested it outdoors yet, of course. I would very much like to do that. That is something I am going to do, hopefully potentially in like the next month or so. I would really like to do that and have a little test with it outside. What I've tested inside, I am really, really happy with it. The sound does sound pretty good to me. I'm pretty excited about that. So that is going to be pretty cool. So we've got mics, we've got mic mixers, we've got mic stands, we've got a subwoofer, we've got two passive speakers. We've got speaker stands. We have a whole host of like different like cool little things that that are going to be really, really good for the event. So I'm super looking forward to that. And then basically and then I need to buy a gazebo or get a gazebo from somewhere. I'm gonna go down the route of like, does anybody have a spare gazebo that I could borrow, and just like ask about if someone's just got a spare, gazebo knocking about, and then I'll just put up the measurements, and if it's got like any, like, hopefully it's got like the side covers and the back covers, and it's just the front bit that's open. That would be a really, really cool thing. And then I need to buy some cables, so like extension leads that's going to get us obviously power to where the gazebo is going to be. That is obviously where the gazebo is going to be. And I need to like stretch probably round about a 25-meter cable extension lead that is going to go from where the main power source is to where we're going to get the power. And then we are going to have hopefully some more extension leads that we can then just like plug the sound system, the decks, the mic mixer and stuff like that into it. And then hopefully we will be really, really sort of like solid on that level. And then the singers and stuff, they're hopefully just going to bring their guitars and basically just sing. They're hopefully just going to bring their guitars and sing without sort of like too much complication. I think the headliner does bring like a little foot pedal thing that I may be able to get some, that I may be able to still plug in. It has like a little kick thing on it, and he is able to provide like a small little drum beat. So it would be pretty cool, like if we can set that up as well. That is what I'm aiming to do. And then apart from that, like I think microphones, the ones that came with the system, they're not the best, so I wouldn't really recommend giving them to singers for a gig. So I am potentially looking at buying just a couple of like SM. I need probably around 2 microphones, and essentially maybe going down the route of maybe some wireless, or maybe getting wired. I'm not sure yet, but that is something I am going to think about. So like having some microphones, obviously, that we can use. I've got the mic stands, so that is all good in that sense. We've got 2 mic stands. That is obviously exactly what we needed. And then apart from that, I'm thinking maybe just to get some like water and stuff in, so like I can offer some water to the singers and stuff, and then like they can have some water and they can have a soft drink, you know, if needed. They can obviously go to the bar and buy a drink if they want. You know, some of them might want to go and buy a beer. Some of them might keep it sober. Who knows? I'm not, you know, necessarily sure what they're going to do in that sense. And then basically, that is pretty much going to be about it, to be fair. And I think, you know, if we can get all of that nailed down, I think we'll be pretty solid. And I think I think we're gearing up for quite a good event. I'm quite looking forward to what we're gearing up for, and hopefully, like, we are gearing up for something that's going to be quite special, quite magical, and will hopefully be really good. So, with that being said, that is going to bring us towards the end of the stream. I will keep you updated. I will keep you posted throughout the journey. I'm also going to do some other bits of social media content as well. I want to like do a little video filming around the venue and stuff like that. I do need somebody to film me. Essentially, I need somebody just to like basically just hold a phone, film a video, and I'm gonna just basically walk around the beer garden, do a little bit of explaining to you know, what we're gonna be doing, and stuff like that, which would be like really cool. So with that being said, that is going to do it for this stream. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share, and we'll see you soon.